Hello everybody, this is Zeke's Obscurities here. Welcome back to Minute History, where we cover big stories for people with short attention spans and occasionally military disasters involving birds. Today we're looking at the Emu War, which took place in Australia from November 2nd, 1932 to December 10th, 1932, lasting 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day. A conflict so unusual that if you pitched it as a movie, any production studio would tell you the plot is unrealistic and to stop wasting everyone's time. So here's the situation. It's the early 1930s in Western Australia. Veterans of the Great War are farming wheat on lands provided to them after the war in a region within the Walgoolan and Campion areas of West Australia. This area, known as the Wheat Belt, exists to the north, east, and south of the city of Perth. According to Kyle Hoekstra from History Hit, the region was a, quote, diverse ecosystem prior to its clearing in the 19th century, unquote. Wheat had been a highly lucrative agricultural commodity out of that region for many years. However, by the 1930s, wheat prices were dropping, due in part to the global Great Depression, leading many farmers into intense financial hardship. Farmers were already struggling with falling wheat prices and Depression-era conditions. But then 20,000 emus arrived. Now, emus like wheat. In fact, they really like wheat. And they like water, too, no shortage of which is found on land meant for farming and grazing cattle. In no time, the 20,000-strong invasion force of emus occupied the area and began to forage, treating the wheat fields like they were running an all-you-could-eat buffet. And the farmers, understandably, pleaded to the government for assistance. The government listened carefully, weighing the best possible response, and decided the solution was to send in the army with machine guns. Because when life gives you birds, obviously the first thing you reach for is automatic weapons. Ironically enough, as Kyle Hoekstra from History Hit notes, quote, Australia is notorious for its historical wildlife management operations of varying success, unquote. From the 19th century on, their record of containing dangerous species has included many, shall we say, innovative methods, including the construction of vast exclusion fences stretching hundreds of miles. Meanwhile, Australia's track record of importing harmful and invasive species in an attempt to control pests, resulting in complete failure, is unrivaled. I'm looking at you, cane toad. Here precisely is the problem. Emus are flightless birds, meaning they cannot fly. However, they can run up to 30 miles per hour and are over 6 feet tall. Over years of sitting idle without proper maintenance, the fences erected to protect the farmlands from the emus and other pests had become dilapidated and ultimately broken, allowing the emu onslaught to pour on in. So, to control this avian threat, the Australian military deployed soldiers from the Royal Australian Artillery armed with Lewis guns, light machine guns which, according to the Australian Air Defence Artillery Association, were accepted into the Australian military service in 1915, and they were deployed to take out the birds. Using machine guns on emus, birds that cannot fly but can run 30 miles an hour and zigzag like they're trying out for the Olympics, is not an idea that most people would recommend. And of course, immediately things started to go wrong. The birds scattered the moment the guns appeared. The soldiers tried to ambush them, but the emus simply refused to cooperate and ran off in every direction except the convenient one for an organized attack. One officer even remarked, essentially, that the emus seemed to have better tactical sense than the humans. And he wasn't alone. According to Justin Utzler from PSU Blogs, ornithologist Dominic Cervanti famously wrote that the, quote, Emu Command had evidently ordered guerrilla tactics, and its unwieldy army soon split up into innumerable small units, unquote. This is a polite, scientific way of saying the birds had initiative, and the people with machine guns did not. The soldiers managed to kill some emus, yes, but very few, and only after firing thousands of rounds. In one early operation, after burning through about 2,500 rounds, they killed roughly 50 birds, which is not what anyone would call a return on investment. Meanwhile, the rest of the emus, all 19,950 of them, simply kept eating crops and trotting off whenever the guns came out. After several weeks of this feathery embarrassment, the Australian army withdrew. No surrender ceremony, no treaty, and no triumphant parade. Just a quiet shuffle home while the emus continued about their business, undefeated and, frankly, probably unaware a war had ever even been declared. 9,860 rounds of machine gun ammunition had yielded a total of 986 emu killed, a pitiful rate of 1 dead emu for every 10 bullets. So in the end, what did the Emu War teach us? Well, for one, don't send soldiers to do a farmer's job. 2, don't try to outmaneuver a bird that can outrun your truck. And 3, if your enemy can't understand your orders, your laws, or your weapons, you might not win. And that's the Emu War, a conflict Australia started, but to which only one side showed up truly prepared: the emus. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been Minute History on the Zeke's Obscurities YouTube channel. Hey there, everybody. Zeke here. I'm super excited to be back with Minute History. I've got a bunch of scripts written for y'all and more on the way. Coming out next will be a video on capitalism to complement my communism video from 2022. I really am excited to expand the channel into more history topics and eventually actually to get a camera and start doing like videos with a whiteboard and with actual props. I would like to go over some of my historical artifacts that I have, my gas masks, even my rifles, things like that, that are sort of interesting keepsakes that have a lot of history behind them, especially my World War I era stuff. So I would definitely be going into that in the future. But like I said, I'm super excited to just bring back this history content, and really that's sort of my passion area is in history, and so I'm really excited to bring that back to y'all. Minute History, of course. This is not a minute long, and I understand that, but just bear with me, and we're gonna get through it together and enjoy the history of these super special moments. 9,860 rounds of machine gun ammunition had yielded. Veterans of the Great War are farming wheat on lands provided to them after the war in a region within the Walgulan